Today we're taking a look at the new Logitech MX Creative Console, and if you love tech and you want to speed up your workflow, especially when it comes to editing, I think you guys are going to like this video. Now, I've been using the MX Creative Console now for about a month, and I have it all completely dialed in and customized for me and how it's set up. And I think that's the best part about this, is that you can basically make it your own. Now, this is also in collaboration with Adobe. So out of the box, it's gonna work with all of Adobe's apps, which is pretty dope. So there's two parts, obviously, I've been showing two. There's the MX Creative Dial Pad, and there's the MX Creative Keypad. And instead of saying the full name, I'm just gonna refer to them as the dial pad and the keypad. So the keypad has 9 buttons on it with a little LCD display behind each key, which gives you icons for what the button does. So when I'm in the desktop, I can have it set to launch different programs, different websites. I have it set up to do ChatGPT or Photoshop, different things like that, even system settings, or just launch a folder. But you're not limited to those 9 buttons, because you can actually set up pages and cycle through those pages with the forward and back buttons. So that means you can pretty much add any different option you want, and I'll talk about that in a minute, how to set that up. And I'll also timestamp this video if you literally just want to jump ahead to that part. Now, the dial pad is super cool. You have one big main contextual dial here, which is set to system volume right out of the box on the desktop. It does have a vertical scroll wheel here, which is nice and smooth. And you can use that to scroll up and down on an image, or in Finder, on a website. Obviously your mouse can do that as well, but it does open up more functionality when using this in an app. And of course, there's 4 programmable buttons on here as well. And one of them at the bottom here is called the action ring, which is going to give you even more options or the ability to make changes inside the app when you hold it down. Now, the dial pad is actually wireless, as you can see. It does have a couple of AAA batteries in it. Well, the dial pad actually plugs into USB-C. So you could literally just set it up anywhere instead of using the standard config. You could move the dial pad over to the other side of your keyboard if you wanted to. Oh, and there's also a stand for the keypad if you want to stand it upright, which looks pretty cool. But I prefer to use it on the flat table right beside the keyboard, because I just feel like it's easier to use that way. I've been mainly using these with Lightroom and Photoshop, and I found it most useful for Photoshop because most of the main shortcuts are pre-programmed right into the dial pad. And you can change them around and add your own if you want to, but it's really nice to be able to just quickly switch between tools and do things like make new layers, clipping adjustment layers. It just makes it so much quicker, and it's all right here, right in the dial pad. And you can still add your own macros as well if you want to, and add it to a new page. So for those of you that are buying this, or maybe you've already bought this in the future, I'm gonna show you guys how to set this up and customize it, because although it's pretty intuitive, there's a bunch of stuff in the Logi Options app you need to know. And so yeah, let's jump into it. So there is a switch on the back of the dial pad you need to flip on in order for it to stay connected via Bluetooth. You're gonna open the Logi Options Plus app, and in here you're gonna see all the devices connected, and you need to add a device, go to Bluetooth, and then you're gonna see it load up in the list here. Once you've got it connected up, then you can go back and make your changes. Okay, so let's start by customizing the keypad. Click on that, go to Customize Keys. And in here, you're gonna see your default settings. This is your desktop settings. And we can change this to basically anything we want. So we can click on this, we can delete the action. You could also just remove the action by going over top of it with something else. Now, if we go to all actions, we're gonna see system, keypad, and I've got Philips Hue installed here. I'll show you that later. But if we go to system, you get all these options in here. We can do volume, stuff like that. In navigation, we can open apps. We can change system settings like screen brightness, mouse settings, keyboard, date and time, widgets, and advanced. Now, advanced, you can do multi-action toggles, which is really cool. So you can do different shortcuts. Like if you want to close an app, you could do Command Q. And for now, we're just gonna open a app, and we wanna open up Photoshop or Lightroom. So we'll go to that open application. We're gonna drag that over to here in our first slot here, and we can choose here what application we wanna open. So I'm gonna choose Lightroom Classic and save, and it already has the icon already made for it. So I'm gonna move that over here, and I have the regular Lightroom here we can open up. That's Lightroom CC. And here we can add Photoshop. So we can add other things in here like ChatGPT, and we can go in here and select that, scroll down and find it. And there we are, ChatGPT. Now the cool thing is you can move these around, just click on them and drag it to the next spot, and it'll automatically update, as you can see here, as it's moving. It's updating on the actual keypad in real time, which is really cool. We can leave Finder here as well. You go up here and you can add your profiles. See, all of the Adobe profiles are already pre-built into here. And we'll add Lightroom Classic. And then you can choose the kind that you want. So you have essentials, developer, super user. For now, I'm just going to do the essentials and go here. It's going to download that profile and it's going to apply that to Lightroom Classic. So you can see up here, and we can add more profiles if we want to for Lightroom Classic if you want to add more options. So let's add Photoshop in here. Photoshop Essentials. Now, of course, you can rearrange these as well, and you can add more, but we're just going to leave it here for now like this. So coming down to the cogwheel here, it says adapt to app. So this is really cool. It will actually launch the profile up here when you load the app. So if you want to make your own profile, you can go up here and add profile. And this is for apps that aren't supported right out the gate. You can basically make your own shortcuts for your own app. So if you want to do Final Cut or DaVinci Resolve, which maybe will get added in the future. And we're going to take a look at the marketplace, which is pretty cool. So you can go to Discover Marketplace here. And in here, you can see all these profiles that are pre-made for all the different apps that are out right now. And you can see there's plugins here as well outside of the profiles. And one of the plugins I actually installed already was the Philips Hue plugin, which is pretty cool. So we can click on Philips Hue here, and you've got all these different options in here. So Control Center, these are things that you already have set up in Philips Hue already. You can obviously make your own, but we're just gonna go toggle room and turn on office. I'm just gonna drag that over to here where it says emojis. Now you can also change the icon because I like it just saying Philips Hue instead of office. So I have the Philips Hue icon here. I'm just going to put it over top of that, get rid of where it says office, and just kind of center it up there, hit save. And as you can see, it updates right on the keypad here really quick. And you now have the Philips Hue option. I'm going to move this over to here though. And then we can just keep adding different apps and different pages as you go and customize this out to whatever you want. Setting the dial pad up is exactly the same. You click on the button you want and assign it an action, and the action ring actually gives you 8 more actions you can apply, and I'll show you how that works inside of an app. So once you have everything set up the way you want, I'm just going to show you how I use it in my workflow. So to launch Photoshop, literally just hit Photoshop. It's going to open up here. I also have Lightroom as well. So if we were to click out of Photoshop here, you can see this goes back to the desktop setup. If you click Lightroom, it'll launch Lightroom right here, and you can see all of our Lightroom tools are here, and you can cycle through all the different settings. But then if we go back to Photoshop, you can see all of the Photoshop actions and settings and everything load right on here. So it's all contextual based off what app you're in, which is pretty cool. So if you want to, you got options here like crop. You could crop the image if you wanted to. I'm just doing this for this example testing purposes. And say you want to go in here to the clone stamp, you can come in here, get rid of this little hair here. I mean, obviously you could go up and click your tools, but the thing is it's so fast to go back and forth between these that you don't really have to. Now, if we jump into Lightroom here, you've got some awesome tools here with the actual contextual dial. So the dial will actually scroll through the photos. And the cool thing is if you want to, you can go in here and rate these photos. So you can see we've got our stars options here. So if I like this one, we can hit 5-star. And then we know what ones we've rated for when we're doing culling. And then of course your vertical scroll wheel here will scroll in, and zoom out. Now the cool thing is I have a whole page dedicated to my presets here. So as you can see, I've got 8 of my presets loaded in here. So if I want to cycle through the presets just to see what they'll look like on this image, I can do that. And I think that's pretty cool that you can actually do that right on the fly. So the other cool thing is you have all these other settings, so you can go in here to masking and make your subject mask if you want to. And then if you want to, you can make your settings from the action ring, which is really cool. So you can hold down the action ring and say we want to lower the highlights, you go over to here and then you scroll the wheel to go negative or positive on those settings. So say we want to adjust the exposure, we can bring that down a little bit. Color temperature, you can see it moving on the temperature slider up here. So I don't really ever have to take my eyes off the image. I can just do it all from here. So it's really cool having the action ring here to make all your adjustments quicker without actually taking your eye off the image or moving the mouse over to the sliders. Now it took me a little bit of time to get used to this because I had to retrain my brain on how to do things. But now that I've been using this, it's gonna be hard to go back to not using it because I'm so used to using it. Does that make sense? You actually have undo and redo on these buttons here. So this will actually undo my settings, or I can redo them here like that. Once you get used to not taking your hand off of this, you can pretty much do everything from this when you think about it. And you can get, get in nice and close, make your changes. You only really need the mouse to do things like retouching and making a couple of adjustments. All right, so I think this is pretty dope. Maybe you have every shortcut memorized for every Adobe app, which I doubt you do. But with the click of a button, you can bypass all those extra keyboard clicks and shortcuts because they're all right here. You can cycle through them through the pages and get to all your main things you use most often, which is gonna speed up your workflow. I've been using Photoshop for 20 years and I don't even know half the shortcuts, so this has been awesome to use, especially for certain things I didn't know the shortcuts for, because now it's all just a press of a button right here. Saves me a bunch of extra clicks, and yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I also think that it just looks cool on the desk, and you can get it in gray or black, and that'll also match their keyboards and mice as well. So it's aesthetically pleasing, looks nice on the desk. The MX Creative Console is gonna come in at $199 USD, and with that, you're actually gonna get the full Adobe Creative Suite for 3 months for free. Did I say that right? It's for free. It's a good value because that's like 180 bucks on its own. So let me know what you think. Is this something you would use? Are you currently using something like a loop deck? Let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, give it a thumbs down twice. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. See you guys in the next one. Is that the thumbnail?